Hello and welcome to the fourth Housing First session of this conference. And this session is focused on skills training as housing support. My name is Wally Check and I'm the Director of Training and Technical Assistance with CAEH. It's great to have everyone here and I hope that you have enjoyed the conference so far and that you enjoy these next presentations. I'd like to start by acknowledging that I am coming to you from the traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory, which comprises the Kainai, Piikani, Amskapi Piikani, and Siksika First Nations. I honor the Blackfoot people and their traditional ways of knowing and caring for this land, as well as all Aboriginal peoples who have helped shape and continue to strengthen our community. I also honor Lethbridge as the home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Just as a reminder, the presentations are pre-recorded and will play automatically. However, we will have the presenters live to answer questions at the end. We will hear both presentations before we get to the Q&A period. On that note, please post your questions in the Q&A function. If you'd like to use the chat, please do, but any questions you would like addressed, please add them to the Q&A section of the platform. The first presentation we have is focused on promoting financial literacy and voluntary trusteeship as a support component in Housing First intensive case management. The presenters are Catherine Gibb and Earl Phillips, both from Services and Housing in the Province, or SHIP, in the Peel region. Earl's passion for community development has led him to work with both local and international nonprofit organizations for over 20 years, including time in South Africa, addressing education, poverty, and resource scarcity. He has a background in operations and project management and is continually focused on finding solutions and opportunities for marginalized individuals and families experiencing homelessness. With SHIP, he has managed a 2-year poverty reduction project in Dufferin County, and currently he provides financial literacy programming and trusteeship services to clients coming out of homelessness and those in supportive and supported housing. Catherine has worked with individuals and families experiencing homelessness for over 20 years. In her current role with SHIP, she has led the design and development of 6-agency Housing First Collaborative, supporting individuals experiencing chronic homelessness. In addition, she oversees an outreach housing team and the Community Homes for Opportunity program. Prior to joining SHIP, Catherine held a progression of frontline and management roles within the emergency shelter system. Catherine believes in and champions a person-centered, recovery-oriented approach to services. Catherine's passions are program design, development and evaluation, community engagement, and capacity building. And she participates in a variety of committees, including the Peel Poverty Reduction Committee, Systems Roundtable, and the Ontario Housing First Community of Interest Steering Committee. Our second set of presenters will be addressing the topic of strengthening Housing First services to address the needs of people with a history of chronic homelessness after finding housing. And these are findings from the Toronto AHCS quality study. The presenters include Michaela Gabrielle and Suzanne Stewart, both from Wakabinyes Bryce Institute for Indigenous Health, and Steve Teekins from the Native Men's Residence. Dr. Stewart is a member of the Yellowknife Dene First Nation and is a registered psychologist. She is director of the Wakabinyes Bryce Institute for Indigenous Health and associate professor in social and behavioral health sciences at the Dalai Lama School of Public Health, University of Toronto. Research and teaching interests include Indigenous mental health and healing in psychology, homelessness, youth mental health, identity, and work-life development, Indigenous pedagogies in higher education, and Indigenous ethics and research methodologies. Michaela Di Gabriele is an Italian and Mi'kmaq of Tocumcook postdoctoral fellow. Research with Dr. Stewart has included exploring how Indigenous traditional knowledge, elder support, and cultural programming can assist in the life transition and mental health needs of Indigenous youth and young adults in exiting homelessness. Dr. Gabrielle has studied clinical and counseling psychology from the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education at the University of Toronto, with graduate clinical training in Indigenous clinical interventions and narrative approaches. Steve Teekins is a member of Nipissing First Nation. Steve has been working with the marginalized and homeless sector in Toronto since 1985. Steve is the executive director at Na-Meh-Res Native Men's Residence, where he has worked since 2008. Steve is very active in Toronto's Indigenous community, where he volunteers on the Aboriginal Legal Services Community Council program. Steve also teaches traditional drumming and to the youth and men at various Native organizations inside and outside of Toronto. And Steve has a master's degree in public administration. So let's not delay any further, and let's get started with the folks from SHIP, and then we will go directly into the second presentation. And after that, we will engage in the question and answer period.